This curious-looking spectre was photographed at a Scottish cemetery in Largs, wherever the hell that is. In Scotland somewhere, I presume. Hello, and welcome to Strange Times number 26. It's me again, your dude, Mr. Strange. Scratch that, it's Chris. It's just Chris, alright? How is everybody? I hope you're all good. It's been ages since I've done a video. I've been busy. But here I am, and I've got... Today is actually a very haunted Strange Times. Pretty much, I think every story is to do with the ghosts. Okay, so firstly I just want to start with a personal experience actually. It's a possible EVP that I picked up while recording a narration for a video months ago. And I'll just quickly play the section that I'm talking about and we'll take it from there. With the Rothschild apparatus Illuminati. That is a lot to take in. And so you can hear faintly towards the end of the pause that there's a noise. And there was no splice in the edit. And I checked all around where I record, inside and outside, and I couldn't come up with anything that that sounds anything like that. And so I'll just quickly play back just the anomaly amplified and see what you think. Right, and there you have it. My opinion is that it sounds like it was in the room with me, and it sounds like a human voice, and you can see the waveform there. Like, I'm no expert at all, but it's very similar to the rest of the waveforms in my narrations. The only problem is, although it sounds like a human and it sounds like a person saying something, it's just really hard to make out what it's saying, if it's saying anything at all. To me, it sounds like it's saying, "Hey you." And I'll just play back quickly, see if you think it sounds like "Hey you." But now I've planted that seed in your mind, you're going to hear it. So I'll play it back anyway, see what you think. Hey you. Hey you, pretty boy. Sounds a little bit like that to me. Probably should. Probably offended a few people there, I apologise. But it does, to me anyway, the way I hear it, it's got a bit of a feminine sort of lilt to it. But anyway, enough of that. Let's move on. Check out this. This is a very interesting EVP, I guess it is. It's I'll play the video.
Alright, so we're at the Kiwi Mausoleum. Is anybody here? Hello? Would anyone like to say something? Are you okay? Holy shit! Oh my god. Dude, that was insane! Oh my god, that's not fucking real, dude. Dude, I got...
Okay, so I'll just read the description so you guys get a better sense of what's going on, and I'll replay it. Two friends and I visit a mausoleum in Somers, CT. CT, what state's that in America? Damn it. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. It's Connecticut. When we approach the fence and begin speaking, there is a scuffle from inside. This is followed by footsteps that sounded like they were running towards us, which you could hear clearly. This is me talking now, this is not the description. And so you can hear those footsteps clearly, and when I play it back, you'll notice that the mausoleum is a box. There's only one entrance and they're standing at that entrance. So that is some freaky stuff there. I'll play it for you. Prepare to be freaked out.
Alright, so we're at the Kiwi Mausoleum. Is anybody here? Hello? Would anyone like to say something? Communicate? Holy shit!
Oh my god. Careful.
Dude, that was insane!
Oh my god, that's not fucking real, dude.
Dude, I got...
Time for a story. This creepy story is called... Hang on. It is called... The Haunted Nursing Home. I worked at an assisted living home on the night shift. I lived in the basement apartment of the place and had a handheld camera walkie-talkie that could switch to see all the cameras. Mostly you just switched between cameras to make sure no one was wandering, and only went upstairs if someone had fallen or gotten up. We were caring for this super tiny old woman. She was coming up on 100 years old and weighed like 60 pounds. She fell a lot, but it was easy for one person alone to pick her up and move her back to her bed, and it happened at least twice a week. One night shift, I was clicking through the cameras and saw what I thought was her standing in the hallway. It looked like a small, short person who was looking right at the door to her room, just staring and not moving. As soon as I saw her standing in the hallway, I heard the sound of someone falling from upstairs, so I ran up the stairs expecting to see her in the hallway. She wasn't there. She was in her room and had rolled off the bed. When I got her back into bed, she kept asking who was standing in the hallway. I noped it out of that job a few weeks later because I hated how often people asked about someone who wasn't there, among other things. The residents always complained that time moved weird, like it was breakfast forever ago, and they felt like they were being starved by the time the next meal came. One of the old men complained that his shows would last too long, and when he'd look at the clock, no time had passed, but he'd been watching TV for hours. It's weird stuff like that. We actually had to start setting timers for like every 10 minutes, so everybody knew the time was still passing because it would freak them out that badly. I never had any issues with that, so I figured it had something to do with them being old. It was just a weird thing that we had to do. They would also complain that someone would follow them around the halls. Mostly the women would complain about somebody standing in their door, watching them, and they thought it was an employee. So they would make complaints about us staring at them from the doorway, even though there was video proof that no one was doing that. There was lots of weird things like that. Being in the basement was almost worse, because every footstep or movement was super loud. You really had to gauge if it was someone moving upstairs, or if it was just nothing. You'd spend all night running up and down the stairs for no reason. A few times it was things falling over, or the piano slamming shut, but for the most part, it was never anything. The home was a regular house that they converted into a retirement home. It was constructed very oddly, but it was constructed well. It was an entire 2-story home, but tacked onto the back was another full-sized 3-bedroom home. The upstairs was the care facility, the basement was the employee living area, and then through one more door in the basement was the rest of the house, I think. Sorry, this is not very well described here. It was built around the 80s and then remodeled around 2002 when my friend's dad bought it, which is when they added the extra house out of... Oh man, I'm struggling again. Let's just go to the next story. Okay, next story. There wasn't anything more. Hang on, I'll do a quick summary if there's anything important. It just says, I know one other girl saw people in the cameras like I did, but everybody else just ignored that sort of thing. That's pretty much it. The rest is just blah, blah, blah. Okay, this next story. It's another ghosty one. I told you, it's all about ghosts today. And this one is called Spirit Attachment. Sounds like me and bourbon. Alright. When I was 13, I went into a very well-known haunted house with a tour group. There was known child activity, so I had taken a light-up toy to interact with the spirits. It didn't take long before I was interacting with a child spirit. I told my mother before I left that I felt sorry for the child spirit, and I wished I could take them out of the house because I didn't like them being stuck in there. I went on with my life, and things would happen that I couldn't explain, but it was nothing big. When I turned 19, I got my first real job at a care facility. Another care facility, here we go. The first 2 years I worked there, nothing extraordinary happened. Then, one night, I was goofing off with another worker and started to randomly sing, "I'm a Little Teapot." But I didn't finish the whole song. But a little girl's voice did finish it. It was loud and clear, and both my co-worker and I heard it. Soon after that, the little girl became very active. We would hear her playing in the hallway, and a couple of times we would actually see her. And it wasn't just me and the co-worker. There were at least 4 other staff who had also seen her. I ended up going to another job at a nursing home, not thinking much about the little girl. There was one resident who would always talk to someone I couldn't see when I was in her room. The other staff mentioned that she didn't do this unless I was in the room. One day the resident told me that it was so nice of me to bring my little sister to work. So I started to get curious, and I asked her some questions. She described the little girl as the same ghost child that I had seen at my previous job. So later that night, I called my old co-workers and asked about if there had been any more activity, and they said it had been quiet since I left. That night, I woke up to my dog, who generally has no aggressive behaviour. My dog was standing over me protectively as she stared at my open bedroom door, and there stood the little girl, clear as day. Before, I would only get glimpses of her, but this time she was in full body, as if she was an actual person standing in my doorway. She smiled at me, then she giggled and ran away. I would have shat my pants there. That'd be terrifying, holy moly. This person says she quickly got out of her bed to see where the ghost had gone. I would have got out of my bed and then got out of the house. I'm not a brave man. But there was no sign of her, and I know it couldn't have been some random child who had found its way into my apartment. There was no one else in my house, and no way to escape without me noticing. The apartment was small, but large enough that if the child had run for the door, I would have seen them leave. At the care facility for the next 3 years, that same resident would have conversations with my little sister, and a few other residents also mentioned my sister. I never engaged with the spirit, I just let her be. But every once in a while, she would let me know she was there. She'd play with the lights. But her favourite thing is playing with water. Anyway, I just went on with life even though I knew she was there. But when I left the nursing home, I did make a request. I asked her if she could stay with the woman who had originally seen her. The woman had no family left and was always so lonely, but always seemed very excited to see my sister. I don't know if it worked or not. I never asked my old co-workers if she had stayed or not, but I no longer saw any more activity. My friends, I'm going to leave that story there. I'm a shocker today, getting the job half done. It's just, I'm bored shitless reading this, so I can imagine listening to it. It must be even worse. So I'll just leave it there. I've got the link there in the description, so, if you're interested in it, have a read. And I think that's all for today. Yes, so let me just double check. I'm going through it. I'm having a look. That's all the stories I've got. And I'm going to leave it right there. Sweet. I'm working on a new video, actually, like a proper video, not one of these dodgy Strange Times affairs. It's like a real video. And I'm not going to say when it's coming out because I have no clue. Sometime in the future. But I just want to assure you guys I'm working on some actually, hopefully, interesting stuff. But until next time, adios. Goodbye. Au revoir. See ya. Signing off. Now.